talk about part of the whole. So let's go over what we learned about benchmark percents using models, using rectangular bar diagram models. So the table shows, so these are the way certain sixth graders go to school, through buses, cars, and walking. The table shows how the 200 sixth grade students at Westside School get to school. How many of the sixth grade students walk to school? Draw a percent bar. So I'm going to draw a percent bar. So 0%, 100% is the full bar. There are 0 students, and there are, they said 200 students. So I would like to break this into different sections. I could break it into fourths, counting by 25%, break it into fifth by 20, 40, 60, 80, 100%. You know what, the easiest one I always like breaking these by into 10 sections, into tenths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 50% right there in the middle, and that's going to be 100 students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to break it into by 10%. 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. So there are 200 students, and I have to divide them into 10 sections. How many students per section? 200 divided by 10 sections, 20 students per section. 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. So at 30%, you have 60 students. At 60%, you have 120 students. So let's answer the question. How many of the 6th grade students walk to school? Walk to school is 5%. 10% is 20 students. So 5% must be 10 students. Half, what's half of 10%? Let's break it down. By divided by 2, you have 5%. Break down 20% here. That's 10 students. How many 6th grade students ride a car to school? Car is 25%. You can break it down to 20% plus 5%. According to this, 20% is 40 students. And 5% is 10 students. So that makes 50 students. Another way you could have done it is this way. We know 25% is between 20 and 30%. What number is between 40 and 60 students? 50 students. That's the mid point of it. So if you like drawing percent bar, then the rest you could draw percent bar. There's nothing wrong with it. But an alternative is called the percent proportion. This is what I prefer. I used this when I was an 8th grade teacher. I find this really, really helpful. By the way, this used to be 8th grade topic. So you 6th graders who can do it now, that's showing you really, really are stepping it up. Very proud of y'all. So the percent formula, you got to just memorize it. The way I memorize this, part over whole equal percent over 100. So you have part to whole equal percent per 100. So part to whole equal percent per 100. So that's how I will memorize it. So it's part to whole, so you have part of a group to a whole group, percent per 100. Let's go back to our last example. See if this really does work. If I could have used this instead of using this stuff. So let's go to our question. Market researchers estimate that 65% of 8 to 12 years old in the United States own a cell phone. There are 360 children who are 8 to 12 years old at the water park today. How many of them would you expect to own a cell phone based on this statistics? Use the percent bar to solve the problem. So we're going to draw it first for those who prefer drawing. So the percent goes from 0% to 100%. There are 360 students. So what do you want to break this down into? Into tenths, into tens, into 20s, or into 25s? I'm going to break it into 10 sections. So we know 50% is right here, which is in the middle. Half of 360 would be 180. So it's 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. So 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 60%, 70, 80, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100. So if there are 10 sections and there are 360 students, how many students will be in each section? 360 broken into 10 sections, that would be 36 students per section, 36. 36 more will be 72. 36 more will be, oh goodness gracious, 8, 10, really? 72 plus 36, 108, I guess 108. 36, 72, yeah, and 36 more will be 144, and 36 more will be 180. I'm going to stop right there. Actually, no, we have to keep going. 36 more of 180 will be 216. 36 more of this will be 242. Now I'm going to stop. You may say, why are you stopping right there? Because if you look at the question, it says, how many students equals 65%? 65% is right here. So I know it's going to be between 216 and 242. You know what? I can't really know. I don't know exactly what's between it. There's two ways you can add up these two numbers and divide by 2 and find a median of it, or you can do it this way. This is how I'm going to do it. I know 60% is equal to 216 students. I know 5% is half of 36, and that's 18 students. So 60% is 216 students, 5% is 18 students. Together, it adds up to 65%. That is 234 students is 65%. And that's how you do it with the percent bar. So you can draw it up, you break it into 10 groups or 10 sections by 10%. And then from the picture, you can answer it. You go find your percent that you need, 65%, which is right here. What's between 216 and 242? 234 students. However, there is another alternative using the percent proportion. Again, how do you use this proportion? So first of all, you have to memorize it. So it's part to whole equal per percent per 100. So let's go back to our thing. What percent do they want us to find? 65%. So that goes right here. If you could put these in a correct spot, this percent proportion is really easy. How many whole students? Is it part of the student or whole student? There are 360 students. They want you to find how many of those, of that group, own a cell phone. So 360 must be the whole. We don't know the part. So, in a proportion, can 100, so this is a little different, because usually the number goes here. If you want to, if this is confusing for you, you can flip it around to this one. 65 over 100 equal part to 360. If that is easier for you, you can do it that way. So we might want to switch it around. Can 100 be built up to 360? Can 100 be built up to 360? No. We're going to have to break this down. How can you break down 6,500? So as one of my students said, it's a multi-step. It is multi-step. Divide both numbers by 5, you get 1320. Now can you build it up? Can you build up a 20 into 360? Yes, you can. You can build it up by multiplying by 18. By 18. Because 2 times 18 is 36 with a 0. So what is 13 times 18? 2, that's 10, 3, 1. So you have 234 is part of the student. So 65% of 360 students is 234 students. So using the percent proportion, you're able to find part of the whole. There are other alternatives which I will not go into because we're focusing on proportion. This is the way I will be teaching it throughout this unit. In other grade level, you'll be doing it a little differently using decimals and using decimals. That's all I'm going to say for that one. So let's go to another question. So here's another question. Of the 640 students who ate lunch in the school cafeteria on Thursday, 60% of the students purchased a hot lunch, 30% of the students purchased a chef's salad, and the rest of them brought their lunch from home. That must be 10%. Use the percent bar to help you complete the table. So they would like you to use the percent bar. So we're going to use it through picture way. And then we're going to use the percent proportion. So we know how many students are there all? 640 students. So they were so nice of us. They were divided into tens for us, into 10 sections. Let's label it 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%. There are 640 students. 50% or half of it, I know, is 320. So if I broke it into 640 students into 10 sections, how many students will be in each section, per section? 640 divided by 10 is 64 per section. So 64. Another 64 is 128. Another 64 will add up to 192. Another 64 will add up to 256. Another 64 will add up to 320. Another 64 will add up to 384. And another 64 will add up to, add 64 to that, 14, 448. I'm going to stop right there. You might say, why? Let's go back to our question. So I should have stopped at 60%. 60% is equal to how many students? 384 students. 30% is equal to 192 students. 10% is equal to 64 students. That is how you can use it through the picture model. There is nothing wrong with this way. If you feel comfortable with this way, keep on drawing. I will not stop you. If you can get the answer, very, very good. However, there might be a more efficient way of doing this, using just numbers, using the percent proportion. I personally prefer this. So, the first percent they wanted to find was 60%. So, what is 60% of the whole group? How many students were in the cafeteria at this time? 640 students. We would like to find part of this. So, would you like to flip this around to make it easier? Can 640 go to 100? If you would like to, you can rewrite it like this way. If it's easier for you, you don't have to if you don't want to. But I'm going to rewrite it. So can 100 be built up to 640? No. Can I break down 60 hundreds? I could break it down as, I don't know, divide both numbers by, I don't know, 3, I guess. You want to, or break down both numbers by 10. You know what, I'm going to break it down both numbers by 10 and get 6 tenths. Or I could have broken down and simplified to 3/5. That would have been a perfect one. Either one. So, or I got done 30 over 50, but 50 does not be built up to this one. So you can do 6/10 or 3/5, either one. The reason why I chose 6/10, because I know 10 can be built up easily back to 640. Multiply by 64. Multiply by 64. 6 times 64 is 384 students out of 640. So 60% of 640 students is 384. Let's go back and see. Voila, I got it. So what happens if you had, let's erase this. What happens if you have 30% of 640? So 30 out of 100 equal part to 640. Can 100 be built into 640, build up to it? No, I have to break this down. I divide both numbers by 10 and get 3 tenths. Then I build it up again by 64. 3 times 64 is 204. Let's go back and see that is what I got. And yes, what? Did I not multiply here correctly? 64 times 3 is 12. Oh, 192. I did not multiply correctly. 192. And let's go back, and I got 192 and so on. So let's go to a different question. The school took in $875 at the bake sale. 68% of the money came from cupcake sales. And there is a lot of money on cupcake sales. How much money does the school make selling cupcakes? You may either draw the percent bar if you feel like it, or you can work on a percent proportion. I will work on a percent proportion because I want you to get familiarized with it. Plus it is more efficient. Ooh, oh goodness. Do I have to go back because I didn't remember? Oh, no. Part to whole. Percent per 100. Yes, I memorized it. So they took in $875. Is that part of the money or all of the money? That's all of the money. They made 68% from cupcake selling. What? How much money did they make selling cupcake? So I wanted to find what part of 875 is 68%. So, can 875 go to 100? Or you want to flip it around? I'm going to flip it around, rewrite it as this way. 68 over 100 equal part over 875. Can 100 be built up to 875? Not exactly, but however, we could simplify this to 3450 or 1725. So we break it down. Now let's build it back up. How many groups of 25 go into 875? How many groups of 25 go into 875? It goes in 3 groups, 5 groups. It goes in 35 times. 35 times. So what is 17 times 35? We're building it up. 17 times 35 is 3, 8, 1, 2, 3. $595. Out of the cupcakes, this is how much money they made. They made $595, which is 68% of $875. Let's just make sure I did the math correctly, because sometimes I do rush this. So let's can 6,800 go into, build up to 875? It cannot. So that's why I broke it down. I simplified, broke it down to 3450. Can 50 go in this? No. That's why I had to break it down and get to 1725. How many groups of 25 go into 875? It goes in 35 times. So now I have to build it up by multiplying both numbers by 25. 17 times 35, 8, 1, 2, 5, $595 is the answer. Next one. Jesse was in the lead for 75% of the laps during the track race. If the race lasted 12 laps, how many laps was he in the lead? So using the percent proportion, what do we remember about it? Oh, it's part to whole equal percent per 100. Again, what does percent mean? Per 100. If you can know that, percent always means per 100, then you'll be successful throughout all percent questions. So he led 75% of the race, and the race lasted 12 laps. That's the whole laps. So what part was he in the lead? So I'm going to rewrite it as this way: 75 over 100 equal to 12 parts. Can 100 be broken down to 12? No. We need to break this down. Isn't that just 3/4? Now, can 3/4 can be built up to 12? Yes, you can. You multiply by 3 and you get 9. So he was in the lead 9 out of 12 laps. If you really want to look at if you drew a picture, because some kids really like pictures, here are 12 laps, 0 laps. Here's 100%, here's 0%. So 75% would be right here. 3, 6, 9, 12. 9 laps for 75%. And that's about it. So what we went through here is focusing on the percent proportion. What's percent proportion? Try to memorize it. It's part to whole equal percent per 100. If you don't like that, you can draw the percent bar. There is nothing wrong with drawing a percent bar. I personally don't like it. I personally rather work with numbers. But there's nothing wrong with using models like this. But whatever you feel, just be very comfortable with it, and you'll be able to solve. So through it, we were able to find, given the percent, given the whole, you're able to find a part of it. How? You can break things down, build it up. Sometimes you can go exactly by building it up and get the answer. Sometimes you just have to break it down, whatever is easier. So this is part of a whole lesson.